All right. Well, on a day like today, I don't want to do long-winded openings. I'm so excited to have back Elisa. Here you are back on with us, the one who helped us start it, the one who got us on the motivation cruise, the one who brought so much flavor. You're back with us. Thank you. And it is us, you and me today.
Yeah, thanks for the invite back. Here we are. The band's back together.
I love it. I wanted to come up with all the ways of saying that, right? You know what I mean? Like, but then it felt like, well, I know we're still, who knows how many more or what we'll do next, but we're here now.
We're in the moment.
We're in the moment.
We're being in the moment.
All right.
Awesome.
Well, I'm going to try to play the bass player and you be the lead singer this time. Let's see if the band can work better. You know, I kind of got a little, a big chested out there in the front of the band a little bit. You know, I didn't like going solo as much as I thought. So anyway, I'm happy we're here.
Me too. So great.
Yeah.
So a lot of the landscape has changed in our lives.
It's so funny.
It?
I'm so fun to talk about it. Yeah, it sure has.
Yeah, right. Do you remember what our last topic was?
I just remember you going, I want that, right?
Yes. Oh, because I think, was it gift versus burden? Was that
was one of the, was that the last one?
I think that was the last one that we did. I think that was it. And then was that when you said, in a relationship, both people need to feel lucky. Was that?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, that's it. Like, I want to feel lucky.
Yeah. And then I remember like, you will. You're like, I want it now.
Like,
it's like, I want it now, right? And now.
I feel so lucky. It's crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
So crazy. Nice.
Look at you. It's radiating. Everybody, I'm sure, going to hear from your voice. Well, yeah.
It's insane. It's a miracle.
Well, you're a storyteller enthusiast and really the one who taught me more about that here in this whole experience in this forum. Do you want to start with the story and give us a little bit about?
Sure. But should we give them some context of?
You say it. Yeah. Why don't you drop it?
So when Heath and I began our podcast journey, Heath was in a very beautiful, committed relationship, you know, going through all of that. And I was the essence of single woman. Anyone who's listened to our stories knows all that craziness.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I've been watching Heath go through his uncoupling. I think that's what you're calling it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to use whatever language I can, but I took the whole conscious uncoupling thing.
Conscious uncoupling, right. But he's been really acting in an incredible space with it, and I've been really inspired by it. It's been interesting to watch and to see the consciousness of it and the mindfulness of it, and he's very deliberate about how he's operating. And that's rarely the case with any breakup, as we've discussed. So I think we're going to touch on that. And then how the hell did Elisa fall in love?
Yeah.
All right.
Fall in love. Say it again.
You know what, though?
And what is that? Yeah, maybe just chart there. Fall.
Yeah.
Did you fall?
It didn't feel like a fall. It felt like a lift.
A lift in love.
Yeah. Lift.
Dig.
I felt light. I felt like I was just lifted up. I may have even said it in a podcast somewhere. I really thought that this kind of romantic feeling of love was for the young. That's cute. You know, the butterflies. Like, that's very sweet in high school, and I wasn't even looking for that. I know what love feels like, but I thought it would be more mature.
Right. Like you had to sacrifice the butterflies for the mature.
Yeah,
right?
just like we'd grow in love, and I'm sure, and I like that too.
True.
I mean, you do grow in love, you know. But I thought it would just be like, oh, this foundation of friendship that would grow into love, which does happen too. But I didn't know that this giddy, blindsided, completely nervous, still.
Romantic love isn't dead.
It's not dead. I'm going to be 51 on Sunday.
That's so cool to hear. Yeah. I mean, we had some Gen Zers on the show who were like, love is dead. And nobody cares anymore. And no one's invested in anybody's hearts anymore. And it's going to be the zombie apocalypse of the heart. I mean, seriously, those are on some podcasts from some of our Gen Zers.
Oh, boy.
So
okay.
now we're coming back swinging with, no, romance and love is well alive.
It
people.
is.
And from someone who knows how to experience it, right?
Yeah. And someone who is feeling like that, you can't make that up. Like those feelings, you can't force. Like you can kind of convince yourself you love somebody, but this is that, like, you know, when I drive into his driveway, my belly is like full of anticipation, or I don't even know. It's that butterfly feeling that's so silly, and I feel like a kid, and we make out like teenagers. Like,
And how long? I mean, begs the question, how long has this been going on?
not that long. Let's see. It started the end of February. So maybe like February 23rd or something.
We're lifted in love for almost a couple months now. Yeah.
Yeah. And oddly enough, he lives in my neighborhood. Because I was
Hello,
like,
neighbor.
well, and also,
awesome.
anybody
Where
that
you been all my life, guys?
so crazy, because I'm like, oh, my person is not in Naples. I think I've said that out loud on a podcast, even like he's not here. I'm gonna have to move to like Colorado or California or North Carolina or somewhere else. But oh yeah, he's 5 blocks away. Like, we walk our dogs together in the morning.
Wow.
It's like we're in college and we just live in separate dorms.
And I remember you saying here on the podcast at some point of like, look, I'm asking for someone to maybe take a walk with me.
Yes, I did
Remember?
say that.
And
yes.
so now you're like walking your dogs even together every morning.
Right.
That was one of your asks.
That's so funny. Oh my gosh, this magical microphone.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
But I think the interesting thing is, because we live so close, we haven't had to do that sort of like super fine-tuned dating, which takes a long time. Like, we're able to really get to know each other quickly. At the very beginning, maybe the first couple of weeks, I'm out walking my dog in the morning, and he would be dropping off his daughter at school and driving back home. And I'm like fresh out of bed with like, some smelly mess. Like, I don't care. It's my neighborhood. But, this guy that I'm super crushing on is driving by like, hey. I'm like, oh God. Hi. Oh, so whereas at the beginning, like having all those giddy feelings, even though I generally don't doll up as much, I was being a little extra because I was like so charmed and everything. But that got taken away quick, right? He's like, oh, he looked so cute this morning. I'm like, I did? Wow. Okay. That's fabulous. I'm grateful every day. I still can't believe, I'm like pinching myself. He's the first man, oh my God, I mean, maybe ever. He's in a different category than anyone I've dated or married, because there's 2 collections. I've only been married twice, but still.
Right. Yeah.
Where I don't get sick of him, and we truly vibrate at the same frequency. We're the same level of introvert, and so I never feel I'm disappointing him.
That's a big one. That's
huge,
really huge, actually.
Huge, yeah. So that folds into, I was telling you, Heath, that I had uncovered for me a key in a relationship.
The 2 C's?
Yeah, 2 C's.
Okay, I'm dying to hear.
Yeah, so because I was noticing I was doing half of the C. So the 2 C's that I think are really paramount in a relationship are chemistry and compatibility. I have had lots of chemistry with people before and not had compatibility. Or I've had compatibility and sort of not the exact chemistry I wanted. And especially I think people that are okay being alone, I think you powerfully need the 2. Do you know what I mean?
I do. Yeah, no, I'm imagining it right now. I'm just kind of, letting it soak through.
Like for instance is, especially later years in life dating, the compatibility piece has to do with things that you and I have discussed before, like logistics is part of that, has to do with compatibility. Aesthetic, that has to do with compatibility. And the obvious, the morals and activity sharing. I can't be with somebody super lethargic.
When you say, I guess it almost begs to say that sometimes when we feel the compatible, we're willing to throw out the chemistry, right? Like, and then when we see that there's no compatibility, maybe we throw fuel on the fire for the chemistry and go, well, this is going to be short-lived, so let's just go ahead and amp that up in the chemistry character, but It won't have compatibility, so we've already predestined that experience, right? But it means that we're settling for less chemistry when we're compatible normally, and now you're feeling it at like equal, or I'm kind of walking and navigating and asking the question, how was it a missing before, and why is it so cool and fresh right now?
Yeah, that's a great question. Like I said, I don't think I defined it before, but looking back, like for instance, the last kind of blip relationship I had, we had chemistry, but we were not compatible. He was super, super, super outgoing, loved to have people around, would invite people for popovers. I hate that. Like, do not pop.
Right.
I'm going to pretend I drowned in my bathtub. I'm not answering the door for most people. But that's a really big lifestyle compatibility thing, right? But we had chemistry, like enough chemistry, I thought.
I'm still just imagining you hiding out in the bathtub, right? Just like hearing the doorbell ring again, and you're just laying there in the bathtub, just going, "No, I'm not. I'm not even here
I'm not here.
because I'm in the
My
bathtub.
car's here, but I'm not
Can't you
here."
tell that I'm not, you're gonna go away?
Yeah, go
That's funny.
away.
Yeah, no, I get. I mean, obviously, we all feel have much to say about it. Yeah,
I think men, I could be wrong, you can tell me, Heath. I think men typically fall in a trap of chemistry, lots of chemistry, and they don't really even think about the compatibility part.
Fairly true, yeah.
Right? I have a bunch of very close man friends who have recently broken up with their love partners, and it was always out of compatibility. I mean, that's what I'm looking at.
It's kind of funny because I was speaking to this version before, but in the men's version, it's like we're willing to sacrifice compatibility
for chemistry.
Yeah, right? It's like, hey, man, if I'm just crazy chemistry about you, then we'll figure out all the other train wreck shit.
Right, and then it's cute and fun, and then after all, you're like, oh. Yeah, so that's a lot of work. Now I'm too tired for the chemistry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my boyfriend's name is David.
He has a name.
His name is
One man named David.
David. I love that name.
It's a nice name.
It's a great name.
It's a good Jewish boy name, too.
He's not Jewish.
He's not Jewish.
No, but that's okay.
All my good Jewish boyfriends, David.
It is a great, yes.
Isn't it? Kind of.
Yes. It's a great, it's a king.
Yeah.
King David. I mean, everything from the compatibility side of things like music, which actually is a big deal to me. His love of music and what he listens to, we're the same age, and that gives a reference point that if you are somebody that appreciates aesthetic and you're a movie watcher, and you've gone to concerts your whole life, and it just gives us another connection of compatibility, really.
Right, like endless little things that weave you together in conversation, or a song comes on, you both can share a melancholy, story maybe, and it's the same time frame.
Yeah.
Quickly imagine where you two were, and that's
it's cool, right?
Yeah,
it's just a cool thing.
For real.
Yeah, and how we view the world is very, very similar. Our politics are the same, which is huge and hard for me to find in Florida. And he's incredibly smart, so we can have really great conversations about politics or about the universe, and aliens or just whatever. And we vibe off of that. Like, we geek out, but we find it charming.
Yeah, I always have this image of, and I think I still probably create it to this day of, like the best, cutest relationships are like the 13-year-old, kids riding their bikes together who got the crush on each other, and they haven't found, all the sexuality shit yet, but the boy like rides and looks at her hair in the sun and just gets stunned by it, right? The girl's like, I think he's looking at my hair in the sun right now, and she's going to write poems about it when she gets home.
Yes.
And I kind of imagine like, that's kind of one of the sweeter human love experiences.
Yes.
And it's kind of like you're having it right now.
I really am.
As an adult, yeah.
I am. And actually it's funny because I've been a writer of poetry my entire life. Did you know that about me?
I did a little bit.
Yeah. So anyhow, I started writing poetry again because, and it's, I know, stop it.
You're so cute.
So cute and gross. But yeah, we're really like that. And it's incredibly mutual. And he's a grown-up man. He's not playing any games. And I loved after our first date, he said, I would like to call you tomorrow if you're okay with that. I've been cautioned that I'm supposed to have some waiting period, I guess. He's like, I can't play those games. And I was like, oh my God, ta-da. I really loved that. He's just very honest and direct. And it's really one of those things that every day I find something else that I fall in love with about him. I'll give you a today. It's so corny. Everyone stopped listening by now, I'm sure. But today
We're losing users, what's happening?
Quick, tell your sad story.
Sad stories again. We need sadness.
We can't wait till she breaks up with him. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, bitch.
It's terrible.
It's not going to happen. Keep going.
So I don't typically do nail polish on my nails. And my birthday Sunday, my mom wanted to treat me to a mani-pedi, and I'm trying to really connect solidly with my mom. So I was like, okay, let's do that. That's cute. But I don't really like having color on my nails. So I threw out texted David, who's at work, do you like nail color? Like, what, is there a color you would like? And he wrote back, well, I can't answer right now because I'm in a meeting and I really want to think about the answer to that. And I was like, oh my God. Like, and he did. He thought about it and he sent me a picture. He's like, I think this would really go good with your skin tone. And I think it would look really sexy or something like that, you know? And it was just real. I felt so heard and seen. It was just like, it was beautiful. I don't know. I was like, I love you.
Right. Yeah.
So-
Some people might throw that out there knowing that they didn't really give a shit about the answer.
I have
right?
never
But
heard.
you
No, I
know what
was.
I'm saying? Like, and you might have thought maybe you didn't, but I can imagine other people being, I'll ask him, but he's probably not going to hear back. Probably not going to care. I don't even give a shit if he does.
That's like, well, I was just curious,
curious
but I didn't
and
think there'd really be
Your
an
response,
answer.
right? And now, boom, you're in this moment where it's like, well, I'm glad you asked. I actually take an interest in your toes.
It was like that. Like, he had like something to share about
Let
it.
me ponder on
And
that.
you did. A sexy thing to say back. I was like, okay.
Okay, then.
Maybe I should think about my lipstick color too.
Change direction. Could you please remove that whole color? Let's go back. Mom, this is going to take a little longer.
Right. But yeah, it's really, I feel like he's truly interested in me because of the chemistry is off the chart and it's incredible. Like we are on another plane and that part's just, I don't even know how we got there. It was immediate and it's very, very real. But the compatibility part is just staggering to me.
You know, it sounds so in the way that it came into its suddenness, but also into its clarity and its harmony, right? Which is beautiful. I mean, that's how nature works all the time, right? We think everything's hard typically, but in it, I mean, it kind of begs the wonder, and I don't know what we haven't talked much about this, but is there anything spiritual about it that makes it these things, or is it non-spiritual, I guess? You know what I mean? For me, in operating in my spirituality and kind of things really working in harmony or not, right? This sounds very in harmony. And
Yeah.
it was right in your proximity and it was timing and it was like so many things were, hitting at the exact same moment and you being in that kind of readiness that you were. And is that just coincidence? Is it just some odd serendipity you're experiencing right now and that's why they call it fall in love? Or is it because, you just serendipitously just stumble into this shit? Or is there something more to it, do you think?
I think there feels like the magic around it is spiritual for sure. And actually, when we are intimate together, it's incredibly spiritual, which is different for me too, because Heath, you and I've talked about, we are human beings that can separate out our sexuality and our emotions sometimes in certain relationships, whatever that may look like. But in this instance, it's completely woven together. Now, before I met David, I was dating a couple guys here or there and seeing somebody and nothing serious, but none of it lit me up on any level. So I consciously ended all of it. I just need to hang by myself. And then I had actually some girlfriends come visit from up north. And so it was just hanging with my girlfriends and connecting with people who I've known for most of my life.
Which is always nice having like people that really know you mirror back you. Like you get to see yourself through their eyes, which is no surprise to you.
Yeah. When my girlfriend Alicia was here with her close friend from Vermont, and they've been both married for 25 years each or something. And I said, I'm really ready to meet my person. He's just not here. But it's all right. I'm not in the mood to force or to even generate chemistry or try to squeeze some kind of compatibility out of a date. It was, oh my God, Heath, I have to play this on the podcast. You're going to die.
Oh, the video there. Yeah. Oh my God, you do. I mean, we're going to have to make that happen. We're going to put an edit in here, peeps. This is going to be so good.
So the thing
Cut to mad comedy.
Right. The thing that broke the camel's back.
Right? It was a classics.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my God, classic.
It was like the thing that broke the camel's back for me from like, I needed a break from all dating and everything was I connected with someone on a Bumble, a dating site. And he seemed different. I was kind of intrigued and we shared a little bit of texting and he said, can I call? And I said, absolutely. He didn't call. He left one of those voice message text things. You know what I mean? Like you can,
just record into your phone and send a voice text. Yep.
And it was the most hilarious, bizarre.
Award-winning.
Comedy gold. I'll have it forever because it's so funny.
He was doing this really slow.
Elisa. Kochewa.
I'm sitting here, Kochewa. Yeah, like where did that come in, right? I mean, he had it all going on.
Kochewa.
I felt like he had incense in his toe, between his toes. I mean, he was
sounded like he was on
watching
Quaaludes.
classic movies. Remember, he was like, I'm watching AMC. I'm a big fan of classics.
Classic films.
Yeah, that's what it was, right? It was like classic films. That's what I'm into.
Weird.
I mean, you can't make this up.
It was amazing.
I can't
but
wait
I was
to get
like,
that. You got to send me the recording.
yeah,
We'll get in there. It's badass.
I was like, I'm done. But I loved it. I was laughing so hard I was crying. And I'm like, I think it's time for me to stop.
That was, if anything was a sign.
Yeah.
You were like, yeah.
I'm done. So my girlfriends who were married were really intrigued to like, let's see, I want to see your dating thing though. Let's show us how it works. They don't, I'm like, you guys, it's terrible. So I showed them on Bumble. They're like, who's this guy? I'm like, there's no way this guy lives here in Florida because it's season. So there's a lot of people that come into town for 3 months and that, then they go back to Chicago. And this guy is liberal, like on his profile, and is super handsome, cool job. He's a wildlife biologist. And I was like, he doesn't live in Florida. There's just no way. My age. I'm like, no, this is not a thing. And they're like, contact him. So I do. And I am so beyond jaded that when we set up a date, I was like, look, I'll meet you for a happy hour drink, one drink. But like, that's it. Because it's going to be in and out. And you really can't tell chemistry unless you're face to face. And so let's not make it weird. Just one drink. That's all. Okay, we haven't left that one. We're still
right. Yeah, we're still in the first drink right now.
Right, exactly. But that's how that goes, I think, when you are not expecting it. So yeah.
Feels nice, huh?
It's like terrifying.
Is it?
It's awesome and terrifying.
Awesomely terrifying and awesome and terrifying.
And terrifying. Yeah. I mean, I'm like...
Dig into that a little bit. What's the terrifying feel like?
The only way to really love is to be vulnerable. And if this ends, it's going to fucking hurt. It's going to hurt really bad. And I don't care.
Right.
I'm going in. 2 feet.
That is terrifying.
2 feet.
I love it.
I feel so lifted up. That I'm just...
2 feet. I love the sounds. Just say it again, will you?
2 feet.
Thank you for that.
2 feet.
Yeah, that.
2 feet in. All good. There you go.
Love it. Thanks
for that.
So that is a spin around. That is a 180 from my version of saying, I'm going to see if we can make this one for the long road, right?
Yeah.
And here we are talking about the tools we might need. And we just got back from a trip, and I just learned that she has a love language that I might have normally ignored. That was kind of some of our last conversations. That was the gift versus burden, right?
Right.
And now here we are through the final, reconciliations of our own and our conscious uncoupling and moving on with our lives.
Right. So how are you feeling today?
Today is worse than yesterday, but yesterday was like all of a sudden like really great.
Okay.
Right? And then the day before that was like really crazy.
You're on the roller coaster ride of the breakup.
That's all it is.
Yeah. You can't get around it.
You just can't get around it. I've always said you just can't. Otherwise it doesn't mean anything. If you're not going to grieve, then you just made it up. So it has its
100% what I said.
It
yeah.
has its grief cycle. So it was kind of funny. Judy had used a kind of analogy or a metaphor about it. She's like, sometimes you just got to take a wire brush to your heart. And you got to clean a house.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel today, actually. I feel clean.
Yeah.
I feel emotionally available, like clean, and whatever my feelings are that are coming through, they feel like they're going through pure, right? They don't feel like they're going and getting trapped in my own bullshit ego and issues. They're just kind of coming through naturally. And that feels good. Yeah, I feel, what do you call that? I guess, a little vulnerable and natural and,
bruised
and, strong and...
A little weepy?
No. We had lots of that. Yeah. Right? Not ashamed to admit that at all.
You shouldn't be.
Definitely. Had massive amounts of that, for sure. And, we'd gone through a really... 60 days of really not seeing each other, right? So,
right. Can you share a little about that? Because I know you've already shared it with me, but it might be really helpful for our listeners, whatever you're comfortable sharing in that. Just because it had a framework. It wasn't just like, bye-bye.
It's kind of funny because, there's this, what's her name? The actress who, there's...
Gwyneth Paltrow, right? With Chris Martin.
Is that what it is?
Yes.
So I had nothing, I'm the last person who would have that information.
Right.
So I didn't have that.
I don't even know why I have it.
I don't even know. Charlie's Angels is the last Gwyneth Paltrow experience I even can think about, that I can imagine her in a poster. And I know she drinks a lot of water and promotes sleeping. And I'm like, I sleep a lot. So Gwyneth says it's cool.
Okay.
Right. So, it's like, but other than that, I had no clue. I'm coming back into a level of maturity of myself that is not that much far from who I was when I was much younger. Right. The two people have kind of come back together. And maybe that's been from some of the empty nesting that I've done. Maybe that's been through this new navigation of the heart, the relationship that I've done. who knows what and why, but it feels like I went through almost like what we'd call a loophole where I just got dropped back into 19.
Wow.
Yeah, straight story.
Oh my God.
And so I'm kind of seeing the world from that cat's viewpoint right now.
Like you're clean, like you're unscathed by
No, well, I don't know. I don't know about unscathed. I just mean that I probably wore a lot of masks over the last 20 years, raising kids and living life and trying to get through and endure careers and, certain things that I was naturally when I wasn't wearing those masks. That natural face hadn't seen the sun in a long time, I don't think, right? I mean, only in moments when you feel like you can kind of take it off and maybe somebody will rub your temples and see you for who you really are.
Sure, I've said this before, but it's in that space of it's the broken heart that lets the light in.
Yeah, right. Or through breakdowns or breakthroughs or all the kind of ways they really happen that way. It's really true, right? Like you sometimes have to get that. I mean, Michelle was saying it to me because a part of the story is that, there was conversations around my drinking, and I've been a lifelong, a proud rock star heavy drinker and smoker, and like I can do whatever the fuck I want kind of guy, right? And then until anybody can tell me otherwise or prove otherwise. So I always said alcohol was my Marlon Brando and cigarettes were my James Dean. And between the three of us, we couldn't lose a fight. And so this is my winning formula. What's yours, right? Get to yours and start winning with me. And so Michelle had, at the end of it, although it hadn't been a major conversation of our relationship at all, and she's a recovering alcoholic and had been sober for the last year, right? We dated for about 3.5, but this last year she had made a major commitment. It was awesome. But, she at the end of our relationship, and it was kind of a messy ending there at the first. This is, again, 70-something days ago, 100 days ago, around my birthday, which was like made it shittier, right? I got all that. So blah, but that's how it needed to happen. And so she was like, and by the way, I'm not going to make a big deal out of it, but you should really take a look at your drinking. And if it doesn't ruin your life now, it will later. And so it's kind of like, I'd heard it from you a little bit. I've heard it from other people who had some fallouts with me and my delivery during drinking can be fucking asshole-ish and all that stuff, right? So I'm like, so I was like, okay, you know what? Fuck this. I'd heard it from my mother. I heard it from everybody. Yeah. So it's like, it's not new news. Okay. So I just didn't want the story to be the story anymore. Yeah. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go have my own story with it, and it needs to be with sobriety. And let me just go get with that. And then I'll get back to everybody after that. And so I made a commitment to 60 days of sobriety. And in that, I realized, I can't afford to go put myself up in a $20,000 place. I don't think I really need to, but that would be nice to go sit around, do yoga, and lay around, and have other people tell you what to do all day, and just take a vacation from work, and just
I love that.
Doesn't that sound wonderful?
It does sound wonderful.
Not an option.
Can my insurance company pay for that for me, please?
No. Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, I'm going to do it here in my house, in my sanctuary. And I want to see myself through my eyes through this process. I don't want to see me through somebody else's eyes, because sometimes I love myself through my eyes, but when I see how somebody else sees me, I don't love myself as much, right? And so at this point, I need to
that's great. What a great insight, Heath. That's great.
So I was just like, look, I just need to see me for me, and I'll be honest with what kind of cool guy or what kind of prick I see here. So let me work through that. And now that I'm not drinking and using that, and I wasn't like a day drinker, I'm not a morning drinker, right? I'm a evening drinker. I can get slushy at times. I can keep it light at times. I can give up days at times. So, but it could be for high functioning alcoholic, possibility of that, so, and it's definitely a crutch and a winning formula, right? So it needs to be addressed anyway. And I'd had some real spiritual experiences in that same amount of time that, God to me, my God, said, Heath, I think we need to address a few things here. That's one of them. And I don't need to shame you for that. You're good to go. I'm not shaming you for that. If you got human relation problems with that, you can address those. But I'm talking to you from some other places that are deeper than that. And I've been with you through all of it, right? Why you're drunk and why you're sober and why you're mad and why you're sad. So here's what I need from you. And that's competency and integrity and some real intention and some focus and some conviction and some sincerity as to what the fuck you're doing with your life right now and what you're doing it for and what you're devoted to. And are you devoted to your purpose? And so I'm like, well, yeah, okay, got it, right? It's in that, he's like, okay.
Just light stuff.
Yeah, just light shit, just normal shit, right? So then it's like, okay, well, I'm worth more sober, is basically the bottom line. Whether I want to argue about whether I can drink or not is really irrelevant. I'm worth more sober.
That's a great thing to even write down, It's just really it's a bullet.
It's just right? It worked for me. It was a little mantra, right? I'm like, okay, and when, so then I was like, okay, I'm going to do 60 days. And I don't know why I picked the day, but I did. it's right when I'm going through a breakup. So I'm just, right before the 60 days, I'm tipping a last little glass of wine and want to get shit-faced because I'm totally pissed off and upset and, kind of emotionally a wreck at the moment. But I'm like, I'm not going to get shit-faced because I'm now just trying to get sober.
Right.
Right. So I'm going to at least drink a last bottle of wine and walk into this thing, right? So this was a week between when Michelle and I decided to end it, and kind of me and she helped me get to some AA meetings and kind of show me what that landscape was like and kind of got me on my feet there, which I really appreciated. And that was like the last time I got to see her through that 60 days. And then we met on Valentine's Day and got a nice little place and, had a nice little setting and sat down and watched the sunset and listened to Stevie Wonder. And I rubbed her feet and we talked about what was good and what we didn't like a little bit, and just kind of did a walk on the sand, and I dropped her off home and a lot of truths came out.
So at that point, were you in a space of, we're just going to see what happens at the end of 60 days?
At that point, no. I was like, I'm going to try to break up with you as nice as I can, because one of the promises, or you're breaking up with me, I don't know, I'm breaking up with you. We didn't even know. I mean, she was out.
It
was ending, right? And so I just kind of was like, we kind of promised, we knew this was a roll of the dice, and we were going to come out of it, and we were going to be friends somehow. I mean, we don't have to be like buddies, right? But we were not going to like hate each other. I mean, we're more grown up than that.
Yeah.
And we did a podcast where we're like, let's try to have a mature relationship, right? So it's like, we don't need to trash each other. We don't need to hurt each other. Let's just at least have as nice of a parting as we can and try to operate in that as best we can. So I really had no idea what I was doing, but I was just aiming for that. And we had a nice plan for Valentine's that I was trying to surprise her with anyway. So why throw that out?
Was there any part of you, now that you look back?
Oh, but no, the answer was no, I wasn't going to look back. But then while we were talking, she had written a letter to me that asked me to read. She'd given me that day, and she was saying, why don't we try this together now that you're not going to drink? So now the drinking thing might have sounded more like it was a bigger issue than it was. And, and that if I stop that, and she had mentioned that she knows it's nice that when you're sober to kind of be with somebody else sober. And so I was like, no, I think we've hit such a wall and it's so messy for us.
The relationship wasn't like,
it was unraveling.
It's not working because of your drinking. The relationship was
unraveling on a
out.
variety of fronts, right? That had not been spoken about enough, and we were not communicating about it. And so they were showing up in dark corners around our relationship, and we were feeling them.
Can I ask you a question?
Please.
And you don't have to answer, but do you think that looking back now, were you possibly ever drinking so that you wouldn't have to feel the questions that...
I know I was now.
Yeah.
Absolutely know I was now. I was in pain, and I was definitely, and then I had some PTSD with Zach. And so then the fact that these things with my personal relationship wasn't being addressed, and I just was trying.
Zach was your friend who
got murdered this year, right? So it's like, and I didn't realize I was in PTSD from it still. I had to put that on hold because there was so much going on in quarantine. Like,
right.
Who cares that your best friend just got murdered?
You had a really light year.
Fucking not light year, but everybody can attest to that, right? So I know that I was. So she said, maybe we can still make this work. I didn't think there was any. I thought that was a real last straw. And I'm like, look, this is your out. Like, take it. You know what I mean? Like, we're done. Like, make the move.
Was there any part of you that felt a little pulled into that possibility when she said it?
But I'm always cautious about losing an opportunity for great love, right? So if it's truly something that I've just stomped on and I need to take this time to figure out, or there's something that's truly that we can make sense of why this went this direction and why it would be not going in this direction and why we can make it better. And if all that just came and landed on our lap when we were in a little bit more of a sane and sober space. And as I said, I need some time away from the spell. Relationships put you in spells.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's actually chemistry. They use the word. I know we talk about it like it's magic, but it's actually science.
Right. Totally science.
It's actually science. So when you break up with someone, your body craves the pheromones and
nature put this together to work that way, right?
Yeah.
So
that's why, you were together. And, so it's a little hard when somebody's like, hey, maybe we should try this again. It's hard to not get seduced in because the science of it will also be pulling you back in.
My heart was saying if there's one last guttural chance that we might be able to make this happen, I'd love to see on the other side of this experience for me, if we can both live into some form of integrity that shows that we actually take each other so that way both would feel lucky to be with each other.
Right. You wanted to have that feeling again. You weren't feeling lucky anymore. You stopped feeling lucky a while ago.
She didn't feel lucky. And
Nobody was
I knew
feeling
she
lucky.
wasn't feeling lucky with me, and I couldn't get her to feel lucky with me, and all that was gone.
That's no fun.
It was no fun anymore for both of us. The thing is, we had this kind of chemistry and this compatibility, but it seemed like, I guess now that I look at the way you're saying it, we were like, that can be down here or that can be up here, right? That can be like from 1 to 10.
I can tell you from an outsider's Perception, may I?
Give it up.
I've said this to you before, but for our listeners.
Or I don't know what you're going to say, but I'm sure if you say it,
I
then
know,
you've said it.
Because
Bring it.
I've said, and this is not a slam on Michelle. She's a great woman. It's not about that. But I have always questioned your compatibility with Michelle. And I've warned you about it at the very beginning. And as your friend,
True story.
Yeah, as your friend, I would listen to you and we'd get in a little bit of a bit about it.
Yeah.
But I was not feeling the compatibility I saw chemistry. I get it. She's a beautiful woman, and she's young and she's cute and, she's sexy. So I get why Mr. Heath is like, yeah, we got compatibility. I'm like, you do not.
Leave me alone. I like her.
She's so, I'm like, she's not those things, but she is a lot of other things, but that's okay. I'll play along.
And it's interesting,
is that okay that I just said
so
that?
Beautiful.
Okay.
It is. And it's true. And going through this process, and again, you were talking, you've got some time under it now, right? Other people said the same thing. They said, go back and look at your pictures and see if you really get the same feeling that you guys were really there, right? You guys look good together, but where's the feel? Like there were people who brought it up in different ways, very nuanced and non-insulting, right?
No, it's not.
And as you know, I live my life fairly transparent. We're sitting here now, right? So people, when they share information with me, I hope most of the time it's really, it's a gift, right? It's not a burden, and they're not judging anybody else, right? So they were just giving some insight since they were like, yeah, I didn't feel that compatible. It felt like, but it was nice to see you so happy. And it was nice, and she's beautiful. And it was nice to see you both have a moment of beautiful.
Yeah.
Right?
I often felt like you were putting in a lot of, and being kind, you were putting in the heavy load of the work in the relationship. And, it's a tribute to you. Like, you wanted it to work, but I'm also like, as a step back and looking at myself and in my past relationships, I think that when one person has to be carrying most of the load to try to make it spark and make it work and make the other person like interested or whatever is going on there, it's doomed. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I don't want to do that again, and I do think it is, and I think and then there was a sense that we both positioned it. I mean, I take accountability in the fact in the beginning we both were kind of like, this is probably all very temporary, right? And
you did say she said that too. You both did.
Said it, and we were both living in it, and we couldn't get that out of our realm, right? And so that kind of helped stage a lot of that 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And so I know that at the end, when I was sitting in the truck with her at the very end, kind of last moments as she was getting out before when I was going into my 60-day sobriety, I was like, I don't want to feel like I'm a temporary person for anybody ever again. That is the worst fucking feeling
Say that
ever.
again.
Like, I don't ever want to feel like I'm the temporary fit in for someone ever again.
God damn, and that's great.
Even when
I felt that down my back. Woof. Yes.
And it's like, and this is kind of the drinking thing for me. And I think I realized that everything we choose in our life, because it's all love and it's all lessons, but it's like from potion to poison, right? At moments, things can feel like a potion. I used to use drinking as a potion, right? And to lube things up, be fun. And I thought I was more fun on it and all this other stuff. But then when you realize that, when it can also be more of a poison than a potion at times, right? But you're not paying attention to the poison. Right? You're like, okay, that's a bad day. And like in a relationship, that's a bad day. It's not a bad drunk. I'm not a bad drunk. It's just a bad day. Right? It was a bad drinking night. Right? What did I eat that day? Right? You come up with whatever your drinking mood swing was, because you're not normally a fucking asshole drunk, right?
Yeah.
And so, but you have them, right? And then so I think, and then the kind of poison starts to bleed into your blood. And now you're realizing maybe you're more stressed, you're more angry about things you're not acknowledging. And so now you're being more angry while you're drinking, right? It's all reflecting. And so now it's not a potion for me. It's a poison.
Right.
And so I feel that, and I want to be more mindful in the rest of my life and understanding that decision day to day.
And that can be true not just for drinking. That
That's
can be true for
relationship.
For relationship.
I'm making the parallel to relationship.
I'm
making the parallel to, let's say, transportation and the use of fossil fuels, right? Like there was the day when we all loved driving our T-Bird and driving faster and burning more gas and our wind in the hair, and driving cars was a potion for a long time. It made us all stronger and bigger and amazing. It had character and identity. Millions of them. I mean, I'm taking a radical step out of relationship and drinking.
Yeah. No, but I hear you.
same
Yeah.
thing. Is driving really a potion for everybody anymore? You're stuck at home. Do you feel the
right.
freaking potion of driving? Nobody really cares. Get whatever car. Get a tube.
Right.
You know what I mean?
They have those one wheels now. Zip around on that shit.
And use it sparingly, or driving is going to become a poison. Anything we overuse or use unconsciously is going to turn to poison. It's not going to stay potion forever. And so that's helped me address my drinking. It's helped me now really address with my grieving and why I'm happy also to be out of the relationship with Michelle and I. And I'm sure she is too.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, and so we did the whole reconciliation. We made some agreements that we would kind of live into some things, for that 60 days. We came back after the 60 days. We had a nice little sit-down dinner, right? And we addressed the time in between and tried to see if there was something that we did feel magic and that was totally worth hanging on. And there was, we could account for our bad decisions together and why we were feeling the way we were. And we could completely realize that we had it all right here in the palm of our hands, and that we were lucky to have each other, and we shouldn't let that go. And that experience didn't happen on that night.
It did not.
Did not happen. I mean, we had a lovely night, but it didn't happen.
Okay, so can I go back to that a little bit? Just so, you're saying it very casually.
Yeah, I'm amazed I'm saying it out loud.
Yeah, I know. I'm just checking in with you. It's not
I'm
quite
not trying
like
to be casual.
No,
at all.
I know.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, all right.
Yeah, I'm just trying to,
He's taking the reins here.
take it over.
Back it up. So you met back together after the 60 days. You went over some stuff with, a possibility floating in the air of maybe you would.
We spent 5 hours in my house. I made dinner, and we sat around and drank non-alcoholic wine and ate dinner and, chatted about things. And the only objective was, let's meet face to face. If we could live into the agreements fully, we should at least be able to be friends, right? If we don't live into those, we should definitely, we won't be able to be friends maybe.
So are you friends? And I have a whole story about that friendship thing.
I'm sure you do. I mean, I guess, and maybe friends isn't what I was trying. Maybe it isn't the right word. Right?
Thank you. That's where I was going to go.
Yeah, I think we can. I don't think that's the original tension. I think it's my version of friends means. Yeah, let me remove that word.
Because you know what a friend is. I'm going to make it real simple. You can only be friends with your ex if you can go on a double date with them.
Exactly, which I could do that in a given situation, with my exes, right? And most of them, would say that, I think, if they got on the call. But Heath would go on a double date with me any day of the week. Yeah,
right.
Right. And I even said that to Michelle, right? I even said, like, when I was talking about our speakeasy, experience that's coming out here pretty soon, right? I was like, yeah, maybe you and your date might want to do that. It's not much to do in Naples, right? So in my mind, I could totally imagine that easily when my heart is now, and my ego and my heart and my claws on someone else are out of the way. Right. Yeah, of course. But in some friendships, you're that close and it was that hard and you let them go. It's more like, if it's a tornado or a hurricane and you give a call, I'm going to pick it up, right? Or if you casually reach out and say, I'm in your area 10 years from now and you want to grab a bite and I'm going to meet you, or you want to share that you're actually getting married and good things are happening in your life, I would love to hear, right? Like that kind of friend is that version. And that's really what I mostly was trying to think that Michelle and I had the right to have. Right? It wasn't like we were going to go back to hanging out and double dating.
Right.
And we're going to be, I don't have that many friends anymore anyway. Right. So I'm not looking for that kind of friend anyway. I got plenty of other shit to do.
Exactly.
But the category of, being the friend of, yes, I have your back if you really needed it. I'm not going to talk shit. And I'm happy we had this season. And, now we're still moving on. So in that vein, yes, we are absolutely still friends.
Good. Okay, good. Excellent. Wow.
I mean, not all the agreements were lived into, and there was some stabs there, and I would be remiss to not say that without all sincerity, but I will, on her side. But on my side, I feel like I lived into it on that side tenfold. And
so in that space, I mean, I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, because you have shared with me that maybe not all agreements were
yeah, I mean, the biggest ones were held, and that's enough.
Exactly.
At that point, I was like, that's enough. I'm totally cool with that. I'll scrap the other ones. That was when I was more emotional.
You're very good at allowing humanness. I will say that's a really good skill of yours.
Thank you.
When you're your true self, it's like you allow that. You're like, okay, well, that's just human and we all are flawed. And, it doesn't mean I'm not giving that a bigger meaning.
That's right.
And that's great. That's awesome. I think that allows you to heal quicker too.
I think so. Yeah.
Because you're not playing it over in your head. Like,
not at all.
God damn it.
I mean, it could have been a lower frequency self, right? High road, low road, right? If I wanted to go low road, it could have gone all that. And I was like, no. And that was, I think, the nice thing about conscious uncoupling was I knew that I was sincerely committed to the uncoupling going as much of a high road as I could have control of. And she really did the dance with me. She could have metaphorically thrown the rock in the window and, purposely tried to see me on a first date kind of thing or whatever. But she didn't. For the most part, she played as nice as she could and within her capacity, and she played along, which she didn't have to at all, and she contributed to some of it. And
That's
so
great.
that was enough for me. It was super healing. I thanked her for that many times. And so with that, the fact that she helped do that with me, whether she wanted to or not, and respected me and loved me enough to do that, I could not be more grateful. And also that, in that, while it was all melting down, her comments about alcohol landed on me at the right time, right person, right situation. And that is why I'm 70 days sober now.
That's awesome. Now, what happens now? Like, do you start dating? Are you just not worrying about that right now?
So, yeah, I gave up cigarettes at the same time as I gave up alcohol, which I loved them for years. I love my cigarettes. So
happy.
Yeah, and everybody's happy about that. And they don't stink like cigarettes now. I don't have to stand out and do the thing. And so it's whatever. I'm okay with it, and it's good. So I love not having smoking in my life like that anymore. I smoke a grandpa pipe now, and I get to clean it out and puff
the ritual.
The ritual. It's more ceremonial. It's not, injections 15, 20 times, 30 times a day, right, in your mouth. I don't have the nervous system of, it's the same thing, potion to poison. When it turns into purpose, I need a cigarette. I need a drink. I need this. I have a purpose. I need my woman to be this way or that, or I need this. Then that becomes poison.
Right.
So the cigarettes are gone. I've been celibate. That was one of our agreements, for the 60 days is let's not sleep around right now. That would be a hard thing for each other if we had to deal with it. And we're untwining our hearts. There's spirituality here. So let's just give that one a fave, please.
Yeah.
And so we lived into that. And so I decided I want to do another 30 days of that kind of celibacy. And then from there, I'll see. And same with the moderation with drinking. Mm-hmm. I want to be able to look at that again after I've, done my sobriety and say, do I want to give myself once a month? Do I want to give myself a spontaneous, how I want to redesign my life with sobriety, and how do I want to include some good poison in there every once in a while.
Right. I love it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And so I'm actually launching a new podcast.
Okay.
Called Bar is Closed.
That's great.
And so we can all decide when we want to close the bar. Right?
Nice.
And then we can reopen it when we want. We're not powerless. We actually have great power over our lives.
I love that.
I know you do.
Thank you for sharing that. That was really great. Very inspiring. Truly very inspiring.
Thank you.
And I kind of love that we're both powerfully in completely different places than last time we sat across from each other in front of these microphones. I mean, that just shows you like the world turns.
Exactly. And we went through some of our turbulence in our relationship that we were able to reconcile in that process along the way.
That's right.
That got us here too. And
there
here
you go.
So it's beautiful. I think it's great.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right.
So what do you think?
I think we're good.
I mean, before some good counsel was, we don't need to cut it out, Heath, when it's still got something going, and we don't have to hurry it to quit, but we don't have to keep it going if it feels done.
I feel like it's done.
I do too.
I think we're good.
Isn't that cool?
It is, yeah.
All right.
All right. Thanks. That was really awesome.
I love you, Elisa.
I love you too, Heath.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Mixed messages. Mixed messages. Mixed messages. Mixed messages. Mixed messages.